morning everyone and welcome back to the channel. Just before we get started, don't forget, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, to hit the sub button, leave a like on the video, comment down below. All that kind of stuff, all the interactions all help the channel, so if you do any of that, I would be very grateful to you. But yeah, getting on with today's video, you may have noticed that first part of the video is filling up the fertiliser spreader with fertiliser. We are going to do our first applications of compound fertiliser on both our winter wheat and winter barley crops. So really this should have been done about a week ago, but with all the dry weather we've had, that dry weather just kind of give the ground a little bit of a chance to dry out. Some of the ground here, especially where our winter wheat is quite heavy, and if you winter too early, which we've had to do in other years when it didn't dry out, but if you winter it while it's still quite damp, the tractor will drop down maybe guts of a foot and leave these deep furrows or tracks in certain parts of the field, deep ruts. What happens then is it rains, these fill up with water, and they don't really dry out then the whole rest of the year. And every time you go in to spread fertiliser, do your spraying, this water is there, the tracks are destroyed, the ground then, those ruts, they just keep getting a little bit deeper every time you travel through them. So yeah, for those 9 days to come and to dry out the ground a little bit, it'll be a godsend. So yeah, but just up in the field now. What I'm going to do is going to put the drone up, get a bit of footage of me spreading. Obviously we'll have a little bit of a voiceover on that. I'll do a bit of a flyover with the drone as well. We'll have a quick look and see how the crop is doing, and yeah, we'll do something similar then when we get out to the winter barley and see how it's progressing on as well. So yeah, be interesting to see. I haven't been up through all of this ground since it was sown. I've been in the first few fields just to see how it established itself, but this is the first real look that I'm going to get at it now, and yeah, we'll see how it's doing, see where the problems is, see what's going well, what's not, and yeah, we'll see how it all goes. So let's get at it, let's keep going and see how it gets on. Alright, so voiceover time. I haven't done one of these in a little bit, so it'll be nice to do one now at this point. Yeah, so we're out and spreading now at this point. Trying to figure out when the last time we actually used the 6420 was. 2650 has kind of been doing a lot of its jobs just around the yard over the winter. It's been on the mixer and yeah, just hasn't been used very much. It's kind of been parked in the shed. I think the last thing it done was actually drilling. Apart from it may have moved a trailer or two around the yard or something like that, but hasn't done much. It's just been parked in the shed and taking it easy. It has its feet up over the winter, so nice to get it out and to get using it again and get it doing a bit of work. But yeah, we're spreading away now at this point, and we're at this point, like, we're getting to see exactly if there's any issues where the crop hasn't struck, and overall it's not too bad. It's actually doing very well. We're very, very happy with how it's doing. It germinated, got itself established, and it's kind of just sat now as is over the winter. So applying the fertiliser now, hopefully a little bit of rain comes, a bit of warm weather, and it'll just take off. Now, of course, there is the few usual suspects in this ground. I mentioned earlier it's quite heavy ground, so you're going to have a couple of areas where the water will lie and it doesn't grow there in those points. Also, you can see, well, you can't just see it yet, but you'll see it a little later on in the video. In this is the second of the two back fields. There's a couple of places on hills where there's not much clay, and I've mentioned this before about these fields. Nothing ever grows in them. So, you know, there's just, when you're ploughing them, the plough's sitting on top of the ground, jigging along on stone or rock, and nothing grows there. So it's just how it is. One of them is just here now. We're just actually passing over here to the right. So you can see there's a wee bit of a hill there. There's just never any clay on it. Never, nothing grows in it. So once you kind of know those points, it's fine. This is now the backfield. This is very heavy part of the ground here. You can see just below us there. There used to be an old, it was there was a little bit of a ditch there at one point. We just took the rest of it out. It had been knocked out with livestock going out through it over the years. This is years ago we took it out. So nothing really grows on it. Really wet spot then there up the top as well. Nothing grows much on it. But then you get into this is the better end of the ground here, and nicely established, as I said, and just ready to take off. A couple of wee light spots here there's a wee bit of a hill there on the right hand side, and it's a wee bit light there, but overall not too bad. If you spray it, bit of CCC there, get her to till her out a bit, and it'll thicken up nicely. The first time we've had wheat in this ground in, I think it's about 5 years since we had wheat in. The last time there's been barley in it ever since. So put the wheat in. See here now, here's a light spot just outside the side of the ditch. And then there's 2 points here. You're looking at one straight in front of us, and then there's another one just over to the right. Those are the light areas that I was talking about. First time in either 4 or 5 years that we've had wheat in this. Grew a lovely crop of wheat the last time we had wheat in it. We've chicken dung on it now this time round, which will kick in a little bit later on in the year. I expect this to be a nice crop with the way it's got itself established. A bit of husbandry with it, looking after it nicely, and it should be a nice crop of wheat. You should get 4.5 ton to the acre, hopefully, out of it, all going well. So we're just coming in now. We're going to land the drone. We're heading out to the winter barley. Is this the winter barley? No, this isn't the winter barley. This is just a little bit of in-cab footage I took whilst
coming into politics for the first time. I want them to learn that quicker.
It's not that long, but see with the GPS set up just on the right hand side, just to keep track of where I am in the field, because I did have to go home, refill this one, and come back the second time, and it's just to save your point in the field where you run out. Okay, so here we are now. We're out at the winter barley. Now the winter barley was sown earlier. Got established really early. Really, the weather was really suitable for the winter barley. After we sown it, it actually was a little bit on the moist side. It started mizzling rain the day we were sowing it. It was really mild then for a couple of weeks afterwards, and it just jumped out of the ground and took off. And it's one of the nicest crops of winter barley that we've had on this piece of ground here. It's a lovely, thick, healthy looking crop, as you can see, and expect it to do fairly well, hopefully. Anyway, we'll see how it progresses on. That's not really much more to say on this front. Small bit of footage here just to finish off, and I'll add a bit of music in from here on, and there's a little bit of a time-lapse video just fast driving home, and then we'll finish off the video then with a bit of chat at the end.
I just realized I've built walls a mile high to protect my heart, but now I'm all alone, stuck on the inside. The heart doesn't need a castle, it needs a bridge. Been too scared that I'd unravel. Brick by brick, I built these walls. Now I know that I am strong. Just watch me tear them down. I'm gonna tear them down. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? Just watch me march towards the battle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. Watch me march. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? I criticized myself for trusting lies. I know I can't hide, 'cause then I'd be alone, stuck on the inside. The heart doesn't need a castle, it needs a bridge. Been so scared that I'd unravel. Brick by brick, I built these walls. Now I know that I'm enough. Just watch me tear them down. I'm gonna tear them down. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? Just watch me march towards the battle. I'm gonna tear down this castle. I'm gonna tear down this castle.
I'm gonna tear down this castle.
Watch me march. If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love? If it couldn't break your heart, is it really love? If it can't tear you apart, is it really love?
Alright, so we're just back in the yard, and if you look at the fertilizer spreader, you'll see that it's now sitting away off to one side, which it wasn't earlier on when we hooked on the spreader. Now just going to check on the tractor itself. The arm is unscrewing itself somehow. Now it's a little bit on the dark side, so you may not be able to see it, but it is locked in. There's a little adjustment handle, if you like, in there, and there's a split pin goes through the middle of it, unless the split pin is broke and it's allowing the arm to unscrew itself, but that's not good. So we're going to have to adjust that, because every time you'd have something on the arms, it's going to unscrew itself, and if you weren't watching it, it could cause you some issues if it all unscrewed itself right out.